Peace, everyone. How are y'all doing? I'm inside of a tree. Something that I tend to question is how the tree feels. I just want to speak about connectivity, and the ways that we are all connected. We are taught to believe certain things about what we experience when we're depressed. We're taught that, if you go through multiple ranges of emotions in a day, then you probably have like some kind of bipolar disorder. There's all kinds of names. And I was always so afraid to go into certain spaces where I could be diagnosed, but I knew that there was something wrong with me. And this is like a long time ago. I'm straight, I'm good. But at the same time, I've done a lot of introspection, and I've done a lot of internal work. I've done a lot of research, and I've looked into these things. And what I found was somewhat disturbing. I'm an advocate for research and for understanding and for learning, right? But at the same time, I'm an advocate for people and for hearts, souls, and plants and environments. And that's not to say to be an advocate for one means you're not an advocate for the other, but there are definitely certain correlations that can be made and certain things that can be observed within these systems. It's important to realize that every one person who has an experience, like let's say you're experiencing depression or you're experiencing some kind of an imbalance, depending on your level of receptivity, depending on your experience, what you are aware of and what you've practiced yourself into, your response to a diagnosis will be different. Your response to a system will be different. When we don't consider these things within a space in which we're supposed to address these things and we're supposed to diagnose these things and we're supposed to find solutions, we tend to go by a book. So in my experience, it didn't sit right with me having to take a medication in order to stabilize myself for an extended period of time in order to find the solution within myself for what I was going through. Why I was going through what I was going through has a lot to do with, yes, absolutely, what I practice myself into. Sometimes in life, there's things that you can control, and then there's things that you can't control, right? For whatever reason, like there's just certain things that I like to look at the places where this control is not able to be had, or like where these manipulations are happening. And I like to do that because I'm highly considerate of my process, and I'm highly considerate of myself as I've navigated these systems as to find a solution for myself personally. And to be completely transparent, there has been a lot of perceptions that I've had as to avoid facing certain things, right? But I'm not afraid to face myself. I'm not afraid to confront myself because I know that I'm not perfect. So when you remove this fear, or it's like, what is there to be afraid of, What is there to be afraid of when you're looking at yourself? What is there to be afraid of when everything is connected? When everything is love? When everything that is love needs to have hate in order to exist? for me, I have practiced myself into a state where I'm not afraid. Although I have fears, it takes a certain level of vulnerability to address that, to say, okay, I'm not afraid, but I also do have fears, and it's a passing emotion. It's a passing emotion. It's something that happens, and when it happens, you address it, you face it. When you start to look at things from unity consciousness, from connectivity, and you can take it as far as you would like to take it, as a means to protect yourself, as a means to address these things for yourself, as a means to observe, right? When you look at these things, you become aware in a different way. And I would recommend just having fun with it, just inquiring and observing and practicing the awareness of our connection to one another, wherever you might operate. I'm personally an advocate for the planet, and I'm an advocate for the spaces and the places in which I perceive major imbalance when it comes to the matters of the heart, and when it comes to the matters of the heart of the planet, when it comes to the matters of just certain things that I can go deeper about. Like, I can speak deeper about these particular things in another space, but here we're talking about mental health. So I just want to let everybody know that some people, they seek out a certain type of assistance and it works for them. But there are many people who this does not work for. And I say that with the utmost respect and understanding. I don't want anybody to be anywhere other than where they're at, because it's necessary to go through whatever it is that you're going through, you know? Like, I don't know. I don't like to speculate on that too much. I focus on my journey, on myself, on my process. I do what I must in order to pues salir adelante. Salir adelante is like to move forward with my life, to keep it pushing, right? And so this is just for those who resonate, who feel like, yeah, you know, it's not working. Coming to a state of resolve, like coming into a place of peace of mind. Not the peace that you find where you practice yourself and you listen to the gurus, and yeah, you can find peace there, but to just be joyful within yourself, in your spirit, like holistically. So I hope that makes sense. I just want to let you know that there's so many different ways that you can connect, that you can find solutions to these kinds of issues where you're having trouble in your mind, in the way that you're perceiving the world. You're feeling energetic blockages. Maybe you're extremely angry. Maybe frustration, shame, all these things. I always speak about this, is like all these emotions come into this one word, depression. Here, you're depressed. Like, I would literally went into this doctor's office without the need, like with a flu or some shit as a child, and they would start, documenting whether or not I was depressed before I even knew what that was. That's problematic. Why are you doing this, And so just look into that. I've always aligned too with different kinds of people with different kinds of ailments. I'm just saying, these things run deep, and if you are experiencing depression to no end, with no resolve, I would recommend going deep within yourself and honoring yourself and respecting yourself, having some self-respect to the point where it's like you're unapologetically caring for what you know in your heart to be true. Like, and to confront yourself, to really face yourself, and to be like, okay, this is the situation. Instead of festering in your shame, instead of festering in your guilt, instead of festering in your anger and frustration, recognize why it's serving you. So you can take a journal. and you can write like, I am angry because of this. I am sad because of this. I am nervous and I have anxiety because of this reason. Right? I would tackle one thing at a time. If you want to just go in about all the shit you're angry about, that works too. And then from there, what you can do is appreciate it. As weird as that sounds, like, give thanks for the emotion, because your emotions are here to serve you. They're not here to be belittled and to be ignored. They're here to help you process. It's a part of your body. And if you start to ignore it or suppress it, then, you know, these things can get caught. And be very mindful, because we can know that, right? We can know, like, oh, I shouldn't suppress my emotions. I shouldn't harbor these things, or I shouldn't ignore these things, right? But it's a practice, right? It's like, if you don't use it, you lose it. So you have to practice. And this is a very practical tool that you can do, where you address the way that you feel, you speak out about it, you give yourself a voice that may or may not have been taken from you. And then from there, you give thanks and you honor the emotion, and you also speak about how it's serving you. Question how it's serving you. How is this emotion serving me? What does it provide for me as a being? What does it provide to my soul? How does it help nourish my body in a holistic way? And so when I say in a holistic way, I say physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, energetically, right? How does this emotion protect me? How does this emotion, you know? And you can just go in. I'm about to leave here with mad bites, yo. So I'm gonna stop this video now, but I really appreciate y'all. I hope that was helpful in any way. And yeah, I'm just wishing you a really beautiful day, a really beautiful night. I'm wishing you a joyful, like, I like to play this game, whatever, I'm not gonna go into this, but just be grateful, okay? Like, count your blessings. Count them.